Hey guys, I'm the Comics Kid 2099. I have in my hands 10 things that I have written down that I would like to see in the Justice League film or films. The other day it was announced that Zack Snyder is going to be directing a Justice League movie. I didn't read the article just recently, I read it when it was announced. I don't remember when the film is set to be coming out. I know that the Batman vs. Superman movie is going to be coming out in 2016, so the Justice League movie is going to be coming out after that. Now, I have written, like I said, 10 things that I would like to see in this film or one of the follow-up films. Some of these things I feel like are pretty realistic expectations. Some of them I feel like we are not ever going to see on film, but there's still things that I would like to see. Also, most of these are serious expectations that I have. A few of them are kind of jokey, but like I said, all of them are things that I would like to see. Now, like I said, Batman vs. Superman, that's going to be coming out first, and even then, that movie is still 2 years away. We don't know a whole lot about that movie. We're going to have to wait until that movie comes out before we can kind of judge what the Justice League movie is going to be like. So a lot of stuff about the Justice League movie we don't know. In fact, all we know for certain is who is going to be playing Cyborg in the Batman vs. Superman movie and presumably in the Justice League, who's going to be playing Wonder Woman, who's going to be playing Batman, and who's going to be playing Superman. That's really all we know right now, but still, I figured I would go ahead and get a little early with this kind of video and say these are some things that I would like to see before we actually know anything about the movie. So, starting at the very top of the list, these are in no particular order. The very first one, I want the League to already be established. Now, this is something that we will probably know for certain by the time we get the Batman vs. Superman movie, since Wonder Woman and Cyborg are both going to be in that movie. I would like for Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, and Cyborg to already be working together, and then something happens in the Batman vs. Superman movie where their presence is made known to the world. Now, everyone already knows about Superman because of what happened in the Man of Steel movie, but Batman, I don't think anyone knows that he exists, so it would be kind of neat if at the end of the Batman vs. Superman movie, if we are going to get a post-credit scene, which these days it seems like every superhero movie just has to have one, if we are going to get a post-credit scene, I would like for it to be something like the League is already together and they're like, okay, we want those two guys to be on our team. And then we don't have to have an entire movie that is an origin story. I have never made a secret that I am not a huge fan of the Avengers movie. It's alright. I enjoyed it when I watched it. It is not the best movie of all time like a lot of people seem to think. One of the big things that I didn't like about that movie is that it takes the entire movie for them to be like, yeah, let's be a team together. We do not need an origin story for a team, especially in the case of the Avengers, after 5 setup movies. This is only going to be 2 setup movies before a Justice League movie. I still don't think that we need an origin movie where by the end of the movie it's like, hey, let's be a team, let's call ourselves the Justice League. I would like for them to already be established. This is kind of similar to Smallville when the Justice League finally showed up. I don't remember when it was. I wasn't watching the show at that time. But Clark was the last person to join the Justice League. It was already put together by Oliver Queen. I would like for something kind of like that to be happening, where Batman and Superman can kind of be our entry-level characters. They join the team, and then we are finding out about the Justice League along with them. I would like for that to be what's going on. Number 2. A lighthearted tone. This is something I've said before. The Marvel Studios movies, all the movies connected to the Avengers, those movies really excel at being lighthearted and fun. Usually they have a lot of funny, witty lines. Sometimes they're laugh-out-loud moments. Sometimes it's just like, oh, that's just enough to make me smile really big when I'm watching the movie. I don't necessarily need the funny one-liner type stuff that we often get in the Marvel Studios movies. I don't necessarily need that kind of humor. I just want this movie to be fun. I don't want it to be grim and gritty. I don't want it to be too self-important. I just want it to be a fun, enjoyable romp. A lot of the Marvel Studios movies, they are that. I want the Justice League movie to be something kind of like that, while still retaining its own identity. That is a tall order, I know, but really, I just want this movie to be enjoyable. I don't want this to be bleak and grim and gritty and, oh, this is really depressing when I watch it. I don't want it to be like that. Number 3, the villain needs to be a villain who we have not seen before on screen. That means I don't want to see Bane fighting the entire Justice League. I don't want the Joker to be in this movie. I don't want Lex Luthor to be putting together a secret society of supervillains. For two reasons. One, I just want to see something new. If we've seen Lex Luthor 4 or 5 times in movies before, I don't need to see him again in a Justice League movie. And two, if it takes Superman and Batman, and only those two, to defeat Lex Luthor in the Batman vs. Superman movie, then it really should not take the entire Justice League to defeat him in the Justice League movie. This may remind you of the Avengers movie, where Thor was able to defeat Loki, and then somehow it took the entire Avengers team to bring in Loki after he had brought in an alien invasion. Now, admittedly, that movie did have an alien invasion in it, so that's what a lot of those guys were doing, but we really do not need, oh, we've already used Lex Luthor, let's use him again in a Justice League movie. There are some really cool Justice League villains who are not also Superman villains or Wonder Woman villains. I would like to see maybe Libra. He was the big bad villain in Final Crisis, or one of the big bad villains. I think they could do a really cool film version of him for the Justice League, and we could finally get something new. I don't want to see Darkseid. That's not written on my paper. I'm just saying I don't want to see Darkseid. I am certain that they are going to do him in a film, but everyone is going to say, oh, he's just a copy of Thanos, even though Thanos came after Darkseid in the comics. I don't need to see Darkseid. Also, we've seen him a lot. He is probably one of the most overused characters in comics. We don't need to see Darkseid in a film. I don't really think there is anything that he can bring to the film, because if you are using Darkseid, chances are it's going to be an alien invasion. And that brings us to my next point. This movie needs to be big. It needs to justify having an entire team put together to combat whatever the big threat of this movie is. It does not need to be an alien invasion, because we've already gotten that in the Man of Steel movie and in the Avengers movie, so we really don't need another alien invasion. And if we are using Darkseid as the villain, then it's almost guaranteed that it's going to be an alien invasion type threat, and I don't think that we need another one of those in a superhero movie for the next 15 years probably. It doesn't need to be an alien invasion story, so no Darkseid, but it needs to be something really big, something that definitely deserves the Justice League giving it their attention. I'm not really sure what all that could be. Maybe something where all of time is unraveling and the Justice League has to fight the Time Trapper. That would be a cool way to do a backdoor pilot for the Legion of Superheroes. I know we all want that to happen. I definitely do. Up next, the next one that I want to see. This is one of them that is very much unrealistic, and I am almost positive that we are never going to get this, but I still want to see this happen someday. Dean Cain as the Earth 2 Superman. In general, I would just like to see the multiverse explored in the DC movies. I think that would be a really neat way to connect all of these DC properties without actually having them be a shared universe. A friend of mine and I, we were talking about how the Avengers movies, they are doing huge guns right now. They are really popular, but they are going to run into a big problem 10 years from now, when Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to be Iron Man anymore, and Chris Evans doesn't want to be Captain America anymore, and then whoever is playing Thor, that one guy whose name I can't remember, he doesn't want to play Thor anymore, they are going to have a problem. Either one, they are going to need to do an Avengers team without Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, and most people aren't going to be very interested in a B-list Avengers team. I certainly would, because my favorite Avengers teams are the ones that are B and C-list characters, but most people are going to want Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America in the Avengers, and they are either going to need to not use those characters at all because the actors are no longer interested in playing those characters, or they are going to need to recast those characters. And I've seen a ton of people say, well, nobody else can play Iron Man except Robert Downey Jr. Those people are wrong, but still, a lot of people are not going to be interested in Iron Man if you have Tom Cruise playing Iron Man. So the Marvel movies, in having this gigantic, sprawling, shared universe, they have set up a big problem, basically where 10 years from now, I don't know if people are going to be as interested in these movies. Now, it is possible in some cases where you can replace the character and have it happen in story. For example, Captain America could die, and then Bucky could replace him and be the second Captain America. That happened in the comics. It could happen in the movies. I don't know if that's what they're wanting to do, but it could happen. with the DC stuff, I think it would be a really interesting opportunity if they went for the multiverse approach. If they had Dean Cain meeting Henry Cavill, I think that would be really interesting. A more experienced Superman meeting this younger, brasher, not quite as experienced Superman, I think that would be really neat. I don't necessarily have to have all of these actors who have played DC superheroes in the past to show up here. We don't have to have all of them, but I would like to see some of them show up and be older versions of the characters that we are getting in the Justice League movie. I think that would be really neat. Maybe not something that we would see in the first Justice League movie, but I think that would be really awesome if you could do that in a Justice League movie. Probably the second Justice League movie or something like that. The next one, I would like to see Cyborg leave the Justice League and found the Teen Titans. Now, when you hear this, you might say, that sounds like a bit of a step down. The Justice League is like the best team in the DC universe, and the Teen Titans is like a second string team. No, not really. For one, I like the Teen Titans better than the Justice League. But for two, the way I'm seeing it in my mind, I think this could really work. We already know that Cyborg is going to be a member of the team. He is going to be showing up in Superman vs. Batman, and presumably he is going to be a member of the Justice League, just like he has been ever since the New 52 started. Now, I mentioned this to someone else a little while back. I'm not a huge fan of Cyborg being part of the Justice League. I personally think he works better in the Teen Titans. If you think about it, everything that Cyborg brings to the table, someone else in the Justice League already does that. He's super strong. Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Superman and the Martian Manhunter, all of those guys are super strong. He has energy wave powers or something. It's like energy beams can shoot out of his arm cannon. Green Lantern can also do energy beams. He maybe has tech knowledge. He maybe could be the guy who's constantly updating the Justice League Watchtower. That could be his thing, except that we also have super smart members of the Justice League. Barry Allen is a police scientist that may not necessarily be super genius, but I think maybe in some versions he's been pretty smart. The Martian Manhunter and Batman, those guys are pretty smart. That's really the only thing that Cyborg brings to the table, is being very smart, and I haven't really seen that be explored in the comics. So I would like for Cyborg to be a member of the Justice League when it first starts, a founding member of the Justice League, and then for some reason maybe a whole slew of DC characters are going to start showing up in the movies after the Justice League forms, and then he's going to be like, listen, there's a whole bunch of teenage superheroes out there and they need guidance. I am going to go and found a superhero team called the Teen Titans. And then you could kind of use the Jeff Johns approach where Cyborg, Beast Boy, Starfire, they were kind of the big brother, big sister to the younger, the next generation of teen sidekicks like Wonder Girl and Bart Allen and Superboy and Tim Drake. I think that would be really cool. Now, I've heard rumors that Nightwing is going to be in Superman vs. Batman, and that's another thing that once that movie comes out, then we will know a little bit more about what's going to be going on in the Justice League movie. If Nightwing is going to be in the Superman vs. Batman movie, then you could have Cyborg and Nightwing go and form the Teen Titans. I think that would be really cool. You could have a mixture of younger teenage superheroes and older mid-20s superheroes like Cyborg and Nightwing. I think that would be really cool, and I would be about 1,000 times more interested in a Teen Titans movie than I would be in a Justice League movie. Up next, I want to see Batman punch a Green Lantern. I'm not even picky about which one he punches. I just want him to punch a Green Lantern. This comes from the Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis Justice League comics from the 80s, where he punched Guy Gardner. Personally, I'd like to see him punch Hal Jordan, but I'll get to that in a minute. I have another thing about Green Lantern here. I know a lot of people really like Hal Jordan. I do not. I hate the character. I don't think he's a very interesting character. This is another one that probably isn't going to happen. I would still like to see it happen, though. I don't think we're ever going to get Batman punching a Green Lantern on film, but I would really like to see that happen. Another one. Batman founds a anti-Justice League. If you've read Mark Gruenwald's Squadron Supreme story, that is basically, it's a Marvel Comics story that's basically about the Justice League. It's an alternate universe superhero team. Each character is analogous to a member of the Justice League. And that story begins with everyone on the Squadron Supreme saying, we are basically going to take over the world, and we are going to make the world a better place. And the Batman analog, Nighthawk, he is like, this is not good. We do not need to be doing this. And he says, guys, I don't think we should be doing this. And they're all like, well, we respect your opinion, but there's the door. We're still going to do this. And so then he leaves, he quits the team, and he forms a kind of anti-Squadron Supreme. I don't remember what the name of his team was. And then he goes and basically he tries to stop them from doing what they are doing. I would like to see something sort of like that with the Justice League. It does not have to be a political thing. It could just be that for some reason Batman doesn't trust the team. They don't have to necessarily be trying to take over the world for the betterment of mankind. They don't have to be that kind of story. But I would like to see something happen where Batman suddenly does not trust all of these people with a lot of superpowers at their disposal. And so he leaves and he forms his own team. There's one of two ways that you could go about this. One, he could form the Outsiders. You know, Metamorpho, Katana, that one girl, Looker, I think. I don't remember her name. You could form the Outsiders. Geoforce, that was one of them. And Batman could kind of be in charge of this team. Whereas with the Justice League, he would just be on equal footing with everyone else. And there really wouldn't be a leader of the team. But with this team, Batman would be in complete control. And these guys would exist solely to be a counter to the Justice League in case the Justice League gets out of hand. Or you could have the same basic premise, but instead of the Outsiders, you could have the team that Bruce Wayne was working with in Kingdom Come. Oliver Queen, Dinah Lance, the Black Canary, and Ted Kord, the Blue Beetle. I would really love to see those guys working together in an anti-league, and that was basically what was going on in the Kingdom Come story, where Batman was working with these low-level guys who either didn't have powers, or if they did, it was not a very powerful power, and they really didn't trust the Justice League in the Kingdom Come story. Either way, I would really love to see something like that be done in a film. There would be a very tricky way of doing this. It would not be easy to pull off, because if Batman doesn't trust the Justice League, there's one of two ways that can happen. Either Batman looks like a jerk, or the rest of the Justice League looks like a jerk. It would be extremely hard to have both sides seem sympathetic and not seem like bad guys or jerks. If you go and read the Marvel Comics Civil War story, that is perfect evidence of that, where Tony Stark looks like a bad guy because he is fighting Captain America, who is the symbol of everything good in the world. It would be very hard to do this kind of story without making somebody look unsympathetic and unlikable. Also, like I said with that thing about the multiverse and having Dean Cain be the Earth 2 Superman, I think this would work better in a sequel. I really don't want to see in the first movie Batman founding an anti-league. I think that would have to be something that you would build up to, where Batman is part of the league for a little while, and then something big happens where it's like, I don't trust those guys anymore. And then possibly he's still friends with Superman, because if you go and read Mark Waid's run on Justice League, he was kind of hated by everyone in the Justice League for something that he did. I won't talk about what he did, but Superman was still his friend, and they were still on speaking terms. I would like to see something like that, but again, you would have to build up to it. You would not be able to do that in the first or even the second Justice League movie. And the last one that I wanted to talk about, I want to see the Martian Manhunter spying on America. He's a shapeshifter, so this would be perfect. He is like infiltrating the American government in one way or another. Basically, the way I see this happening, after the alien invasion in the Man of Steel, it's very possible and very likely that the American government does not trust aliens. And that would mean there's a couple of members of the Justice League who they are probably not going to trust. Now, Superman, he's one of them. I don't know if people are going to trust Superman or not because of what happened in the Man of Steel movie. I think it would be very a missed opportunity-ish if they did not address that he killed a man, and also he is of the same alien species that the alien invasion was from. I think they do need to address that in a future movie. Maybe they'll address that in the Superman vs. Batman movie, who knows. I also think the Martian Manhunter, he's a guy who probably, if they were doing it like I would want them to do it, he's been on Earth for like 50 years or something like that. And then suddenly an alien invasion happens and he's like, oh, okay, I need to do some damage control. I need to kind of make sure that all aliens are not suddenly put into these camps or whatever by the American government. I would really like to see Martian Manhunter not really being an anti-hero, but doing something that's maybe questionable, and when the rest of the League finds out about it, they're like, whoa, you've been doing what? I would like to see him doing something like that, and he has to say, listen, because of that guy's alien species, all aliens are not trusted anymore. And then you could have characters like Hawkman or some of the other alien members of the League, and they'd be like, yeah, that was kind of a bad thing for us. We're not really wanted on this planet, so I think it's really good that the Martian Manhunter over there is trying to make things a little easier on us. Now, maybe you could have it where Jean is a member of the American cabinet or whatever, and he's kind of trying to say, no, aliens are fine. You don't need to put together this plan to kill all the aliens. Don't do that. I think that would be really neat. I forgot one of them that I had accidentally skipped on my list. The Green Lantern film that we got a few years ago with Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, I want that to be part of the new DC Cinematic Universe. You might be saying, why? That film was awful. Yes, it was. It was very bad. That doesn't mean that it can't be part of the backstory of this world. One thing that you can do that's really good about a shared universe, when you have multiple movies that exist in this world, that means that you have less work to do when you are setting up your world in the movie that you are doing now. So if you are trying to set up a Justice League, you don't have to do a lot of legwork with the Green Lantern character, because we already have a Green Lantern movie that is still fairly fresh in everyone's mind, even though by the time we get a Justice League movie, it's going to be like 8 years since the Green Lantern movie came out. I still think it would be really neat if we could have that Green Lantern movie be part of this world. You could have a different Green Lantern be on the team. In fact, I would encourage it. I do not want to see Ryan Reynolds again. You could say that Hal Jordan is off on another sector helping train someone else, or he's still being trained since it hasn't been that long since he first became a Green Lantern. You could have him be somewhere over there. You could either have an alien Green Lantern like Kilowog, that would be kind of cool, or you could have another Green Lantern. Maybe before Hal Jordan was Green Lantern, there was another one like John Stewart or Guy Gardner. I'm sure a lot of people would really hate that. Or you could say that one of those guys became his replacement after he went and retired or did something like that. I don't know. I would personally like to see John Stewart. I think he's probably my favorite Green Lantern. He's one of my favorites. I actually like Kyle Rayner a little bit more, but I would really like to see John Stewart be in this team just because it would be a callback to the animated series that used him, and I thought he was really cool there. Also, this would give us a chance to get to see Sinestro as an actual villain, since that movie did set that up, even if it was really terrible the way that it set it up. I would still like to see him be a villain and be used later on, not necessarily in a Justice League movie, but maybe in a soft reboot of a Green Lantern movie. Kind of like how The Incredible Hulk sort of kind of used the Hulk movie as a backstory for its own movie. You could do the same thing with the Green Lantern movie. Kind of sort of reference it, but not really, and you could just have Sinestro be a villain. And I do believe that is everything. I don't think I have anything else on this list. I accidentally skipped around a little bit. I didn't mean to. That's the 10 things that I would like to see in the Justice League movie. What do you guys think? Are any of these unrealistic? I know at least 2 of them are. I think the rest of them, though, are pretty realistic. I think it's not unrealistic to hope for these things. I personally would really like to see all of these things happen, but maybe you guys don't want to see any of these happen. Let me know in the comments below some things that you would like to see in the Justice League movie. And I am going to end this video right now because my list is over. I will see you guys in the future with another kind of video. So, in the future, I hope that you guys will keep it real. Talk to you later.